Good morning, everyone. Wonderful, a responsive audience, what I love. If I was in a government meeting, we would observe and note that all protocol had been adhered to so that we could get straight to the technical discussions. But I think given the auspicious gathering we have, as indicated by the Vice-Chancellor, it is appropriate to acknowledge some of the protocol this morning. So acknowledging the Chancellor of Rhodes University, the Honorable Judge Lex Mpati, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Sizwe Mabazela, particularly for that particularly profound introductory address, Chairperson of Council, Judge Gerald Bloom, members of the University Council of Rhodes University, the executive management, deans, and importantly, the academic, administrative, and support staff of the university, the president of the SRC, Ms. Abusheni Tiala, my fellow graduates and their family members, students and friends of the university, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's obviously a tremendous honor for me to be here today with you. Such a wonderful moment of celebration, and as the VC noted, for the majority of you, getting here today has depended on tremendous hard work and commitment. All of this has preceded the significant awarding of your degrees. But for some of us, me included, we're here celebrating the years of work that followed the awarding of our degrees. And so in many ways in this auditorium, we represent the full spectrum of achievement, both aspirational in your case, and for some of us, actualized. I can recall at my graduation ceremonies so very long ago, I think it was when dinosaurs roamed the earth, that the formalities seemed to pass in a blur. I was just so excited and relieved to be there that I honestly can't remember a single word that the honorary graduates said, although I'm sure it was particularly profound and the work they would be honored for was influential, but I can't remember any of it. And so I wondered when I thought about today, with my 15 minutes of fame here at Rhodes University, what I might say that would stand a slightly greater chance of staying with you, so that when you got your honorary doctorates, you would be able to recall some of it, even given the levels of adrenaline and endorphins that I'm sure are coursing through your system currently. And so I ultimately landed on a list of the top 10 things that I've learned in my professional journey from my initial graduation, so when I was in your shoes, all the way through to this wonderful honor of receiving this honorary doctorate here at Rhodes. And I hope some of these will stay with you and may help you in the professional journey that you're about to embark on today. The first of these is be very proud in terms of what you've achieved, but always be humble with it. And here I really identify with what the VC said. Recognize and acknowledge that whatever success you might achieve, it is only possible because of the support and the commitment of others who've helped you on your way. You really did not get here alone. In my case, as has been noted by the orator, I'm here today because of my parents, Ken and Margaret, who believed in the importance of educating a girl child when many in our society didn't at the time. And they changed my life as a result. I'm also here because of intellectual mentors, such as my PhD supervisor, Professor John Poynton, who taught me not to be scared of tackling ideological sacred cows. And I'm unquestionably here because of my wife, Rosanna, who has provided me with a lifetime of support and encouragement to do more and to do it better. So always remember to bear witness to those who've made your success possible. Secondly, always trust your instincts. Take control and take responsibility for your career choices, even if they may seem controversial or incomprehensible to others. As was noted, when I left academia in 1994 to join the world of local government, many of my academic colleagues, really with the best will in the world, cautioned me that my decision to leave the university would mark the end of my scientific career. But that simply wasn't the case. And I ultimately became the first woman from Africa to be a co-chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is recognized as the gold standard for global scientific assessment in the field of climate change. Similarly, when I became involved in the work of the IPCC, again with the best will in the world, some of my local government colleagues cautioned me that I'd become too removed from the on-the-ground reality of local government to remain a credible practitioner. But again, that prophecy was not fulfilled. I continued to undertake the work related to biodiversity, climate change, sustainability, and resilience, while still publishing in the peer-reviewed press and partaking and contributing to these global scientific assessments. And in fact, by being that bridge between the worlds of science and practice, I've been able to deliver far more than either of those communities ever imagined was possible. So be comfortable working in between the worlds. Beware of the sort of limited worldviews that may try to stereotype you professionally. This takes me to lesson number 3. If you feel like you need to break those boundaries, realize that not everyone is going to cheer you on. Not everyone is going to welcome you, challenging those sacred cows. So if you feel that you belong somewhere and people don't invite you in, just show up anyway. Just by doing the unexpected, you can often change the narrative and the outcome. So constantly seek out those new challenges and take the initiative to make the change. Lesson number 4, realize that if you're brave enough and bold enough to break those professional and disciplinary boundaries, that doesn't mean there's going to be an instant revolution. This is not a case of instant gratification. It's not the world of tweet or Instagram, unfortunately. Once you're over the barriers and through those locked doors, you're going to have to be persistent. You're going to have to stay in the room for as long as it takes to make the change. And unfortunately, success really comes immediately or in the short term. Therefore, the longer you stay in the room, the more likely it is that people will eventually assume you belong there, begin talking to you, and ultimately listening to you. So you need to stick with it. In my local government career, there have been some issues I've had to chip away at for years, and in some cases decades, before the change began to happen. You need to learn to play the long game. Lesson number 5, and again this echoes some of the important messages from the Vice-Chancellor. Help other people realize their strengths and their potential. Once you've been brave enough and bold enough to open the door, to clamber over all the barriers that life will put in your way, let other people into the room as well. Extend a helping hand to those who come behind you, those who follow you. Always take the team with you on the journey. Lesson number 6. Remember science, and indeed that's the calling, it's the vocation that's brought all of us into this room today. The belief that knowing the world through science can change the world. Science is not just a thing, it's a verb. With the conferring of your degrees today, you are being tasked with helping to build a new world. Never shy away from that or forget that responsibility, and it is a huge responsibility. Choosing science is choosing a life of service. As a scientist, you are a public servant. You use knowledge to change the world. Never lose that perspective. With science, you can help humanity to be the best we can be and help us to know, to understand, to protect the world and the universe we live in. It is not a trivial responsibility. Lesson number 7. To be the best scientist you can be, you need to find your voice in the world, and that often will be difficult. So do not be silent. Do not be complacent. Science needs us to show up in the world's darkest moments. As the Vice-Chancellor so eloquently indicated, we are in a dark moment for the country and for the continent and the world. Never before have you been needed so much. So be brave and be firm in your convictions. Lesson number 8, important one this. Realize that your learning does not end today. In fact, it begins today. Keep learning your whole life. Listen to others. Really listen to them. Don't hear them. Listen to them and benefit from their wisdom. If you do, you will realize how little you actually do know and how much you still have to learn. Lesson number 9. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. In this world of performance management systems, everyone's become afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are important because they will be your very best teacher. Remember that the caliber of a professional is best judged not by their successes. Successes are easy things, but by the way you learn from and bounce back from your failures. It's about progress. It's not about perfection. Lesson number 10, and this is really important. Make sure that whatever you do, you're having fun. Life is way too short not to have fun at work. Be passionate always about your work. And the most important lesson, I know I promised you 10, but the most important lesson is in fact a bonus lesson. So buy now and get one free. There really is nothing out of your reach if you're determined and work hard. There's a really huge freedom that comes from recognizing that hard work enables us to achieve anything we can imagine, regardless of our inherent talents. I simply don't believe in talent. I believe in hard work. I'd much rather hire someone who's prepared to work hard than someone who's extremely talented. So don't wait for the right opportunity. Make your own, work hard, create it by putting in the time and energy that's necessary. And finally, in closing, I want to express my thanks to Rhodes University for this wonderful personal honor and award. It really means a tremendous amount to me. But I also want to express my gratefulness for the acknowledgement it implies for a much larger community, because this honorary Doctor of Laws helps make visible a community of people who often remain invisible. Those of us who work at the interface bridging the worlds of science, policy, and practice. These boundary people and their work often goes unseen, uncelebrated, unnoticed. So thank you for helping to shine a spotlight on them and celebrate their importance. And I hope that at least some people in the audience today will join that community of actors through science. And indeed, it takes a very special institution to recognize this sort of intersectional work because it breaks down the silos. In that regard, Rhodes University represents exactly the sort of learning institution we need in Africa in the 21st century if we're serious about creating a safe, sustainable, and equitable world for us all and a healthy planet. It provides a place for the bridge builders and boundary busters of today and tomorrow to hone their craft, to understand the complex dynamics of intersecting natural, environmental, developmental, social challenges, and to develop the tools and the skills that will allow them to make a real difference on our important continent and the world. I also want to thank the Rhodes University community for the incredibly warm welcome that I've received. I feel very at home in a learning environment that recognizes the power and value of thought and action coming together in an integrated way. As one of Africa's founding fathers, Kwame Nkrumah, noted, action without thought is empty. Thought without action is blind. So in conclusion, my sincere congratulations to all of you, my fellow graduates, on your hard work and this momentous achievement. Go out and celebrate today, but I don't give you permission to do that for the remainder of your life. I do require you to get up off your laurels, to get ready, to get down to some really hard work, whether that's going to be by going out into the world